Hey everybody, February 7 here, and welcome back to the channel with Marquee Matchup Predictions. It's your favorite video of the week. And before we start, I just want to say last week was a bust. We only got, I think, Real Madrid versus Barcelona, but let's be honest, anyone in the world would be able to figure that one out. Okay, anyone, because it was obvious. What it is good with this method of investing is you'll always make money, and I'll explain. I predicted Newcastle versus Manchester, you remember, and I bought Newcastle players. Then during the week, I realized I was like, oh God, I guess maybe they won't be because of, well, reasons. So on the day of the marquee matchups before the content drop, on the hype, I sold all of my Newcastle players and I doubled my money, definitely, because I got some players for 300, 350, and I sold all my players for 650. So they rose a lot. They rose a lot. It was beautiful, actually. I was really happy I didn't lose any money. And I know a lot of people that made money with the Real Madrid and Barcelona, so I'm happy. About the Newcastle investments, if I showed this on the Discord that I belong, where I'm a marquee matchup trader, or I try to be. I just post this video basically. So if any of you guys are here, hi to everyone on the Discord. Uh, yeah, but before we start, just one more thing. This week was very hard to predict because there's a lot of nice games, okay? But the problem is there are too many points difference, okay? So that means, for example, the next one, I'll explain the next one. But like if one team wins the other, they won't overtake them, and it takes the edge of the match, if that makes sense. But I'll explain next. Okay, let's go to our first prediction. The first prediction is going to be Porto versus Benfica, a very historical rivalry here in Portugal, and they are 5 points difference. Okay, and I put this one here because I could have put the LA Galaxy versus Los Angeles Club. That's a very big game in America. But I put Benfica versus Porto. Why? Because um, well, it's a very intense match. First of all, it's a very intense match here in Portugal, and I always tend to favor Portuguese teams on the marquee matchups. There's 5 points difference between them, and this is why I say it's hard, because if it was like 2 points difference, I would say this is 100% sure, because one will go to first, the other will go to second, stuff like that. In this case, the outcome of the game doesn't change anything. If Benfica loses, it's still in first place. Well, it's 2 points difference, but they will still be in first place. So there's no pressure for Benfica. The pressure is on Porto's side, to be honest. And if Porto loses, there will be 8 points difference and not the 2 points difference. Or if they draw, they will keep the five. So it's, you understand what I say when it's hard to predict, because you have the situation that's not in this prediction, but Roma versus Napoli, they are like 5 points difference, for example. And if Roma beats Napoli, they won't overtake, they won't take the second place or third place or whatever. And if Napoli wins and Inter wins, Napoli won't change any positions. So it takes the edge off. So I didn't put Roma and Napoli because of that reason. And I didn't put requirements because if this one is the weakest, or even if the second weakest, there won't be any requirements. They're going to select Portuguese players or Liga Portugal players, something like that. Second prediction, Lens versus Marseille. Marseille hasn't played yet, but I'm going to assume that they're not going to beat PSG. And by assuming this, basically, basically they have 1 point difference. Lens is in third place, Marseille is in fourth place, 1 point difference. If Marseille wins, they will overtake Lens and they will take the third place. They will be on the top three, and Lens will drop out of the top three. So that's why I consider this to be a big match, because there's things on the line. There's things on the line. I know it makes no sense, but that's the way I think, or at least the way I pick the teams. Yes, and there will be no requirements because I think it's going to be the second weakest. Then Hoffenheim versus Bayern. I know Bayern was 2 weeks ago, but it wouldn't surprise Bayern to be in again. Why? This is a very important match. They are separated by 1 point, if I'm not mistaken, and Hoffenheim is in third place and Bayern is in fifth place. Again, this is something on the stake, because if Bayern beats Hoffenheim, Bayern will go to the top three at least. they could go even further, can go second place if the team on second place loses. So they can jump some places, and Hoffenheim can lose some places, which I think is very interesting. I think it's very interesting, and there's things on the line. Okay, that so I'm going with Bayern once again. I don't know if I'm going to be right, but I hope I'm going to be right. I think this one for me would be the one that I would be the safest on. When it comes to requirements, I think they're going to ask one player of either team. So you can go with Hutter on Hoffenheim side. Uh, he's French, so good link with the other leagues. And on Bayern, I would go with Chopo Moting, Bad Nation, but yeah, it's the cheapest one. Both of them are 400 coins on the market. Then my last prediction would be Crystal Palace versus Everton. Predicting the Premier League, it's really, 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 really hard this week. Why? Because there is games in the middle of the week from Tuesday to Thursday. There's games, but they won't use those in the predictions, I think. And why not Chelsea versus United? That's the big game of next weekend. Well, the same way that people asked me last week, why didn't you choose Liverpool versus City? Well, I didn't choose Chelsea versus United because EA usually don't put the same team twice in a row in marquee matchups. Okay, usually could be an exception. I remember last year that was an exception with United. United was like 3 times in marquee matchups in 4 weeks, for example. It could be an exception. They could definitely do it an exception, and they have 3 points difference, so it would make a lot of sense. But when it comes to the Prem, I personally this weekend I wouldn't put any games from the Prem, me personally. But I know EA will always try to put because Prem players always move the market a lot. What did I choose? Crystal Palace versus Everton. I'm considering the fact that if they both win or they both lose during the week, because if let's say if Everton wins and Crystal Palace loses, there's going to be a big gap, and it's that big gap that I usually don't like. Which there's no place on stake. Crystal Palace won't overtake Everton because they have 1 point difference. I think Everton is in the 15th place, no 14th place, and Crystal Palace 15. I just saw that. I just forgot. But that's why I chose this one. I'm going rogue when it comes to this prediction, and I think I might be right. But again, try to go with the with the Bayern one. I think the Bayern one will be definitely in. Then you can invest in MacArthur, a CDM, for Crystal Palace, and you can invest in Everton. Sorry, in Mopai for Everton players, a French player which was very, very, very linkable with other leagues. My final advice before I leave, okay, my final advice before I leave is if you invest in a team, let's say you invest in Crystal Palace players, and you think you have a gut feeling that Crystal Palace won't be in, on the hour before the content drops on Thursday, double it or just put 200 coins more, and I guarantee you will make money, even if it's not the amount you wished. The most important part is you don't lose money. Okay, so that's why I always tell you guys, buy 300 coins, and if things are wrong, you can always put 350, and it's not a lot, but it's money. Profit is profit. If you want to risk it after 6 o'clock, then you can triple or quadruple, depending how things go. That is my prediction. What do you think about my prediction? Do you like it? Do you don't like it? Do you have? Because there's a lot of people that usually tell me, "Oh, you forgot about this game," and yeah, it usually happens that I usually forgot or didn't do the right analysis. So, guys, thank you so much for being here. Please leave a like, a comment, hit the bell icon, share. This is like the only video I ask for you guys to share like worldwide, because it will really help me a lot. But also the likes and the comments and engagement help this video a lot. There should be a sub button up there. There should be my latest video over there, and there should be my Platinators channel over there. I hope I see you around, and I'll see you on the next one. P.S. I'm not a financial advisor, okay? Bye.